Joining us now is Oji Okpe with stories trending around the world. Hello, Oji.
Good morning, Dr. Abati. How are you?
I'm good. Good morning.
Good morning, Oji.
Good morning, Tindun. How are you?
Great, thank you.
You look lovely.
Thank you. You too.
Good morning, Rufai. How are you?
DPO.
I know where you're going.
DPO,
but let's
speak
wait.
up.
Let's
speak
wait.
up, DPO.
Let's wait for the story. Good morning. I hope you're doing well.
Yeah, thanks.
Great. Well, good morning to you, viewers. We begin what's trending in Nigeria. The Minister of Information and Culture, Lai Mohammed, was trending on Tuesday for once again calling for the regulation of social media. At a press conference where he appeared before the House of Representatives Committee on Information, National Orientation, Ethics and Values, the minister said the nation was sitting on a keg of gunpowder regarding the issue of fake news. He warned that the next war that will be fought in the country and across the globe may be fought through social media, making reference to the recent EndSARS protests. The minister further referenced China as a nation with a well-regulated and censored cyberspace. While at the conference, Lai Mohammed made a case for more funds for technology to regulate social media while defending the ministry's 2021 budget proposal. Let's take a look at what he said before we take some reactions.
We launched a campaign to regulate the social media, which was bitterly contested by the stakeholders. But we didn't stop, and we kept saying that if we do not regulate the social media, it will destroy us. Sir, social media and fake news did not start destroying Nigeria. Social media has come to stay. We're not complaining about social media. We are complaining about the unbridled, unregulated social media. We are looking at the negative aspect of social media. And it is not just communist countries that are very wary of social media, even the US.
Well, this has caused a lot of mixed reactions. I'll take some Twitter reactions before we discuss. One user, Mission, wrote, "Honorable, it's time to be proactive and not primitive. If Nigeria must advance to meet advanced nations, freedom of speech is a fundamental right. A better government accepts negative and positive criticism. We watched the unconstitutional fine given by the NBC to some media houses. It's clear to us now." Well, another user, Mayawa, wrote, Lai Mohammed cited China as being successful because they control social media. But he forgot that China is a communist state and not a democracy or pseudo-democracy. And their leaders don't steal, and if you steal, you get executed. Well, that rhetoric was trending because everyone is like, we are in a democracy right now. But I think the issue is that this call for regulation has come again at a very wrong time. The, Minister of Information said that he's not calling for the total shutdown of the social media space, but, to find tools that can regulate, fake speech, misinformation, but also the members of the committee there. We're talking about the fact that, there is use of social media, especially with the EndSARS protests, because that's the only place that we found positive information. For example, he referenced the looting that occurred in various states, that if not for social media, nobody would find out where this looting was taking place. So, I don't know if, the conversation on social media is going to stop because everyone really is talking about the fact that we are a democracy and not a pseudo-democracy.
Yes, China is actually an authoritarian state, so I don't think that's a valid comparison. But at the same time, I understand what he's trying to say.
Yes.
I feel very strongly about fake news. And fake news, that mindless forwarding of what you have not verified, it gets people killed. We saw what happened with the Rohingya Muslims in Myanmar and how they were slaughtered, raped, displaced in their multitudes. However, the state, especially at a time like this, doesn't really have the right to try and regulate people's thoughts. This is reminding me, and I said it yesterday, I'm going to say it again today. I'm constantly being reminded of the decrees of 1984. It's unacceptable. Democracy was fought for, it was won, it was died for. We cannot go back to the dark days of 1984, where simply by embarrassing, which is the word that was used, embarrassing the government, you get into trouble. People are allowed to have their opinions, whether you agree or you disagree. What you are are not allowed to do is spread lies that incite and inflame violence to other people. That is unacceptable. But the whole idea of having social media, some kind of government tool for propaganda, the whole idea of trying to silence voice of dissent, I find it extremely worrying, and it's completely unacceptable.
Well, so the technology that he's seeking for is to find a way to combat that type of misinformation. He also, raised the fact that, all of the misinformation through the cyberspace has caused a lot of problems. He cited, the research made by the University of Ohio in regards to Hillary Clinton losing out on the election because of misinformation. Dr. Abati.
Yes, the minister cited many examples, even from African countries. But the truth of the matter is that it was before the House Committee on Information, National Reorientation, Ethics and Values to defend the 2021 budget proposal of his ministry. But the story that came out is this concern about fake news and the social media. This is not the first time an attempt will be made to criminalize the social media in Nigeria. You will recall that in November 2019, one Senator Mohammed Musa presented before the Senate a bill on malicious protection from malicious internet falsehood and malicious information, which became known as the Anti-Social Media Bill. And that bill went through 2 readings. And of course, there was very serious objection from the Nigerian public. In fact, total outrage because of the penalties and the provisions of that particular bill. And that bill eventually died a natural death. And now the minister, against the background of what happened during the anti-SARS protests and after, is bringing up the concern. He says the most urgent thing we face is that the abuse of the social media could destroy the country. But there was a contribution by a gentleman called Honorable Emmanuel Ogene.
Yes,
and he made the point that, look, if we try to ban social media, you'll be truncating our democracy. And that the government should look more at the positive side of social media. And I think he has a very brilliant point there,
yes,
because the social media is about democracy. It's about the freedom of expression, which is guaranteed under Section 39 of the Constitution. But what NSAS indicated is what we have seen in the Arab uprising during the election periods, how it empowers the people, to air their grievances. Of course, no government likes that. That's why in Tanzania, they have a very terrible anti-social media law. That's why in Singapore, they have a similar law, which, the lawmakers in Abuja just copied, yes, line by line, and wanted to impose on Nigeria. So the minister is saying, we will not ban it. In the first place, it will not be possible to ban it. He says there must be a social media policy. Well, what would that policy do? Are you going to regulate how people use their phones, how they use their tablets, how they interact with other people? There is no way you go about it, it will not appear draconian.
Exactly.
Now, he's talking about technology. What kind of technology? Okay, you will stop people from talking, as they did in Cameroon during the Ambazonia protests. Right?
Only yesterday, Tanzania, the internet there was shut down.
Yes, I refer to Tanzania, where they have one of the most terrible social media laws. So I think it will be counterproductive to do that. So what is the way forward? What government can do is to play big also on social media. It's only in the last decade that many governments started having social media departments. But what we have seen previously is that the Nigerian government tends to relate more with the traditional media. The minister said, they went around the media houses to get the support of media houses not to abuse the social media. It's not the traditional media institutions that control the social media. The social media is in the hands of ordinary people. It's a tool of empowerment. But the government too can now begin to make use of the social media. Well, I'm not a favorite of, I'm not particularly excited about President Donald Trump. But see what he does with the social media. Okay, so there must be another level of engagement, a rapid response social media team at all levels that can take on falsehood on social media. And then, of course, if you feel embarrassed in any way, there's a cybercrime law. People who feel that falsehood or that has been spread about them or they've been defamed, they have the option also of going to law. There are existing laws under which people can insist on their rights, including government.
Good point, Dr. Abati. Rufai, what's your take on the story?
I think real quickly, what the government should be doing is engagement. And, you know, it hurts me when we're trying to pass a social media law and the likes and other things we do. We don't even engage with the owners of these social media companies. You see what happens in America? They call them, they have conversations with them, and as a result of this conversation, things happen. See what happened on Twitter. Twitter started to flag messages that they couldn't verify as a result of those subpoenas and conversations they had with the House in America. So that's what we should be doing here, that, okay, what you're doing in places like America, if a story is false, how can you flag it on time? And that's also going to help to create jobs for a lot of people. You know, we can get these social media companies to employ over 3,000 or 4,000 Nigerians that can flag fake news on their site in Nigeria. Since we have one of the biggest communities, we've got over 20 million people on social, on Facebook, on Twitter, and the likes in this country. We've got a big market. So you can engage those social media companies to also create jobs for Nigerians. But if you just say, oh, we need to do this, we need to do that, you know what it looks like to me? It looks like the Les Majestés laws in Thailand that says you don't say anything to the king. The king is supreme. Even if Vajira Longhorn takes on 3 or 4 more mistresses, you don't talk. That's the way it looks like to me. We can engage this fake news for jobs for the young people on social media. We can get Facebook to say, okay, you can employ 2,000, 3,000, 4,000 Nigerians to just be in a place, flag fake news on your site along the Nigeria Twitter sphere or the Facebook space, and start to flag all of this. So for me, when you say this, I see job opportunities. I see thousands of jobs. Engage them. Call Twitter, call Facebook in. Talk to them about this, and it's a big problem, and how we can create job opportunity for the young people with fake news. It's big business. It's not going to go away. It's never going to go away.
I love that point, and that takes me to my next story. You know, the Lagos State Commissioner of Police, Hakeem Odomusu, announced on Tuesday that 520 suspects have been arrested for various offenses ranging from arson, robbery, murder to unlawful possession of firearms in the aftermath of the EndSARS protests. Some of the hoodlums were paraded at the command's headquarters in Ikeja. The police presented one of the suspected hoodlums, alleged to have taken part in attacking a police station and stealing a police uniform before members of the press. Well, here is a video of the suspect who goes by the name Sadiq.
Your name?
What really happened?
Waiting be your name. Waiting be your name. They say now you keep this person to get this uniform. They say now you be the person who keep this person to get this uniform.
So where did you get your
Waiting be your name.
uniform?
Now tell us your name. Why you dey lie to us now? You dey lie. They say now you keep this person who get this uniform. Tell us. That's what I mean, a lie. So Dick what? How old are you? Waiting for this uniform to do for your name. Talk to us in broken, we'll feel it.
Preaching.
Guys, when I saw the story, I was shocked at the amount of people that were paraded yesterday. I mean, all I thought was, these are young men that could be contributing positively to nation building. And, you know, it goes to show that at first I attributed it to like poverty. Why not? These people will do anything because they have no money. But then there's also the issue of drugs. I mean, like you could see in Sadiq's demeanor, he seemed like he was under some sort of influence because he wouldn't speak and he was just, you know, looked like he was dazed. And that is an issue that the government needs to tackle, drug. And I think that is the real enemy here.
We have so many.
Yes.
I take your point, and to add to that, I just want to say that I'm relieved that the police are out and about, up and doing, because we had expressed on this show earlier, didn't we, Dr. Abati, that it appears that they were sort of feeling maligned and unfairly attacked by the general public. And that attitude was reflected in the fact that we've all commented on that, the mass looting that went on.
Yeah.
The police seem to just have folded their hands and let these hoodlums get on with it because they feel that they're not appreciated, they feel that they've been criminalized, their men have been killed, their stations destroyed, cars burnt. But it's good to see that the police, maybe they feel that way, but they're still rallying and doing the job that they have sworn to do. Because when I looked at all those people, I thought the only thing between us and them is the police force. Whatever we want to say about reforming the police force is integral.
Yes.
We need a police force, which goes back to that 5 for 5 demands that the NSAS protesters were making.
Correct.
It was never about attacking the police. It was about wanting to identify and punish the bad eggs among them. But the police, really, they're completely necessary, especially with what you've just commented on, the drug scourge, the unemployment problem that we have. This is actually frightening.
You know, another thing that came out of this story was the fact that that man, Sadiq, was wearing a police uniform.
Yes.
And we saw different videos of these hoodlums going about trying to extort money from people. I mean, they also tried to say, well, maybe the people that were, you know, disbanded by, I mean, the fact that SARS was disbanded because of their unacceptable behavior was that, you know, some of these people were hoodlums and not police officers. Dr.
Well,
Abati.
what kind of person would steal police uniform at a time when, you know, there is crisis in the country and will go about town wearing the same uniform?
Extorting money.
So I agree with you. Maybe we're dealing with drug abuse
Yes.
or we're just dealing with youth delinquency. But clearly the point has been made severally that one, there is need for employment for young people. There is need to engage the young people of Nigeria because now we see that they are in two categories. The youths in Lekki, they are different from the ones in Agege and elsewhere. How do we, you know, do a lot more for these young people who represent the future of the country? As for the police, yes, its original job is to enforce law and order. And it's not only in Lagos that suspects have been arrested. In other parts of the country, persons have also been arrested in Abuja, in Cross River State, and elsewhere as part of an attempt to make sure that those who resorted to a crime are dealt with. And the CP Odumusu, Akim Odumusu in Lagos, is saying these 520 suspects will be charged for arson, looting, robbery, malicious damage, and unlawful possession of firearms. And so it's important to see that that will happen. But my word to the police will be as follows. One, there shouldn't be any attempt on the part of the police to resort to jungle justice, because you could see, you know, angry policemen could say, we will deal with them. They should follow their standard procedure. Those persons who have been arrested, they should not be left and abandoned in police cells as awaiting trial persons, because, you know, it's possible.
Yes.
The police having arrested some people,
stories,
some will say, okay, we will also deal with you. We will use you as scapegoats. So they must be professional in handling this. And of course, as I said earlier, we commiserate with them over the loss of their men, whether in Lagos or in other parts. But the police, despite whatever they may feel, provocation or anger, must remain professional.
Very good point. Before I come to you, Rufai, I'll take our final story. In the wake of the looting in Lagos, the statue of the late sage Obafemi Awolowo in Ikeja is believed to have been affected, with the famous eyeglasses missing. Awolowo, the premier of the Western region from 1954 through 1960, is known for his unique round-shaped glasses. The 20-feet statue was erected by the former governor of Lagos State, Akinwumi Ambode, to celebrate the legendary achievements and contributions of Awolowo to the development of the country. Meanwhile, in the southeast, the Igbo social cultural organization, Ohaneze Ndigbo, has condemned the burning of the statue of late elder statesman Nnamdi Azikiwe in Onitsha. Some young men identified as sensationists burnt the statue in the aftermath of the Lekki shootings on the grounds that Azikiwe is partly responsible for the trouble of the Igbos because of his One Nigeria stand. The group has called for calm and restoration of law and order and is insisting that those responsible for the desecration of the statue of the first president of Nigeria will not go unpunished. Rufai, what is your take on this story, the desecration of these iconic individuals?
Quite very sad. That's what happens when anarchy visits the land. That's the offshoot, but it's very sad. These are people that have worked so hard for this country. Nnamdi Azikiwe, coming Governor General in '63, part of the the independence struggle, was a journalist too, just like us. West African pilot, owner and founder, quite very sad. Obafemi Awolowo, another journalist too, just like us. The glasses were taken off, desecrated. That's what happens when anarchy visits the land. In fact, we even forget the historical perspective we ought to take. But what's really burning in my heart is that of the young people paraded by the police officers. And the fact that these are lives wasting away. Just imagine if we put that same strength into the workplace.
Yeah.
We get those young people jobs to do. They wouldn't do that. And we need to start creating a lot of jobs. I was talking to somebody and I said, you know, the factory where they produce our iPhones and the likes is called Foxconn. It's in Taiwan, mainland China. That factory has over 2 million people employed on the production line. And I used to give the very simplistic example that if we just have 10 Foxconns in Nigeria, just 10, 20 million people on the production line, then we'll have a reduction in all of this. Work and job prevents people from all sorts. Once there's economic viability, people can do a lot with their lives. And it's immense what the young people of Nigeria, the talented young people, can do. This is a reaction to what is happening in society. If you give these same people jobs, they will create, they will innovate. And when the factories were shutting down, what did we do about those factories? When Dunlop was leaving this country, when Michelin was leaving this country, what did we do about those factories? We need to bring back jobs. I don't know how we're going to do it, but the next 10 years in this country should be years of bringing back jobs. We need to create massive employment. A lot of people need jobs. We need to bring back the textile factory in the north. We need to bring back the textile for the cottage industries in Ijebu land that made lace. We need to get people working. This is the time to get Nigeria working. Anybody that comes out to vie for presidency in Nigeria should have one agenda: jobs, 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 jobs.
Right. Good point. Would you like to make a comment on Obafemi Awolowo and the desecration of Nnamdi Azikiwe's
It's completely
statue?
disgusting. It's disgusting. I cannot believe that happened in Nigeria. There's no excuse. And I completely agree with Rufai. The problem is idleness. It's sad. And also just a loss of values. You know, we don't teach history. I think a lot of these people don't know what these men stood for. Look at the reason that was attributed to burning Zeke's statue, that he stood for one Nigeria, and is one of the problems that the Igbos are facing today. That's completely erroneous.
Dr. Bati, a quick comment.
Yes,
from
you're
you
right.
on the
One,
statue.
people not knowing history, we not teaching enough history, you know, and then a generation of angry youths that have emerged that do not even care about history. Nnamdi Azikiwe, Nigeria's first president, 1960 to 1966, was also father of Nigerian nationalism. He was one of those iconic figures that fought for independence.
Yes.
And when he was fighting, he was also a young man. He started out as a member of the Nigerian youth movement. And by 1945, June 1945, when we had that labor strike led by Michael Imudu, he supported it. So this is a man who also came from a background of activism, of youth activism.
They don't know.
So, you know, they picked on the wrong target, and we should be preaching the message of one Nigeria.
Exactly.
Now, Zeke not only preached one Nigeria, he was born in Zungeru, 16 December 1904. His first language was Hausa.
Yes.
Then he went back home in the East, he picked up Igbo, is the language of his parents. And then he ended up in Lagos, where at a time, as a leader of the NCNC and as a youth leader, he became the leader. No, he said he was not part of it. He became the symbol of what became the Zikist movement. The Zikist movement had young men from different parts of Nigeria
Including my father.
who were his followers. Okay.
Including my father.
The late MK Abiola
Yes,
was there.
that was his
Adeniran
political
Ogunsanya
mentor.
was there.
Yeah,
So he was
so-
a major, icon. And then, of course, the legendary Chief Obafemi Awolowo, the avatar. You know, what is an Awo statue without his round-shaped eyeglasses and that round cap?
Do you remember his lying in state? He had his glasses. I
Yes.
remember some people were saying, why did they put his glasses? They have to. His glasses are part of it. Yes.
And you know, this is also an illustration of the level of anarchy that ensued, the vandalism that overtook Nigeria. I mean, going to steal eyeglasses. It's not as if it is of any use.
It's just mischief.
It's a case of
Very mischievous.
of looting the
Yes.
dead. You know,
It's
people
terrible.
looted not only clothes or shops, they even looted the dead.
It's
And they
terrible.
desecrated the statue of Zeke. Very unfortunate.
Very unfortunate. Thank you, Dr. Bati. Thank you,
Thank
Tindu.
you,
That's all I
Ajay.
have for What's Trending today. Thank you, Rufai.